American carriers exercising off Korea, but these pictures were taken in May and none are there now. The president seems out of sync with his military and his top diplomat, who today emphasized the defensive nature of US precautions.
I think what the president was just reaffirming is the United States has the capability to fully defend itself from any attack and defend our allies, and we will do so. And so the American people should sleep well at night.
Tillerson's in tune with generations of American statesmen who stuck to Teddy Roosevelt's maxim, speak softly and carry a big stick. But one reason he can be sanguine is because America's stick is not being brandished right now. America is not in a position to strike. Its only carrier in the area of Korea docked in Japan yesterday at the end of an operational tour. B-1 bombers in Guam may have got the North's attention, but while the US has a few dozen aircraft in range that could mount a limited strike, none of the broader preparations you'd expect are visible.
I don't think there's a credible military option for the US. To try and suppress North Korea's nuclear program would invite an unthinkable retaliation. To think that Seoul, South Korea's capital, is within artillery range of North Korea, to think that US bases are in the crosshairs, to think that allies who are very nervous at the moment are also in the crosshairs. And one of the problems Trump faces is that as belligerent and as inflammatory as his rhetoric gets, it's actually pretty difficult to use the stick.
And America's stick, even when brandished, is simply not as big as it used to be. It could still strike North Korea, and hard, but poor aircraft availability, reduced stocks of bombs and missiles mean readiness for a major conflict is poor. Add to that the vast size of North Korea's armed forces, presenting hundreds of thousands of possible targets, many pointing to the south, and America's ability to control any ensuing escalation is limited. And its defense secretary has said as much.
General Mattis has been public in the statements he's made about just how significant the military risks would be of going forward with any kind of preemptive strike, for example. And he's made those statements on the record, and he's talked about just how brutal any kind of military activity would be, how close Seoul is, for example.
So bereft of a big stick, or one that can be brandished credibly anyway, you'd think the president might moderate his tone.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
Why carry on with such language? Perhaps he's playing hard cop to China's soft. But at heart there is a reluctance to deal publicly with the fact that North Korea's nukes have fundamentally changed calculations.
The idea that North Korea's nuclear bomb is a reality, the idea that soon it will have the ability to deliver that bomb across the world, the idea that North Korea identifies that bomb with its own survival and will not give it up, well, voluntarily. That is a simple idea, but it's one of the most difficult ones to stomach because it offends the whole notion of America's uncontested global leadership and its deep commitment to inhibiting the proliferation of what it sees as rogue states.
With North Korea now threatening the US base in Guam, the war of words may have taken on a life of its own. Some de-escalation, at least verbal, is now vital.